Hi friends, happy spring and welcome back to Fiber and Floral, a mostly knitting podcast. I'm Becca. I am a knitter, a sewist, a fiber artist. Let's just make it easy. Living in Berlin, Germany. I am a educator, so I work in a bilingual school in first and second grade. So I am on spring break right now, and oh, it is glorious. The sun is out. It is 26 degrees today, Celsius, which is like 80, 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is glory. It is basically summer, and this never happens to us in April. So I am just overjoyed. I think I'm gonna take my spinning wheel out later and like go and spin in my garden. It's gonna be incredible. But today, first off, the reason why we're here is I am going to talk you through 15 floral sock patterns that would be perfect for this glorious weather that we're having. Uh, as you might imagine, based off my name, I love florals. I cannot get enough. Um, and last month I did 15, I think I did 15, 10 or 15 floral garments. This month I'm going to do 15 sock patterns. This is also going to be inspire me and kind of what's next on my knitting queue, also showing you some socks that I've already knit on this list. So I hope you'll stick around, grab a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or some water, and yeah, I hope you'll find some socks to inspire you.
Colorado calls to me, and Washington will always be begging for a piece of me to stay. Maybe some things never change, but I wanna know how it feels to hang pictures on a wall, sleep in the same bed at night. I want reasons to stay, I want someone to take up my time and miss me
Before
when
we
I
get started, I just want to mention really quickly what I'm wearing. This is the Province top by This Cozy Nest, I believe. And it is knit in Lena, and I just did like a stripe version. I mentioned this in my last month's podcast. I've talked about this, I believe, last summer and how I did the stripes. So if this is something you want to make for yourself, have a look at those videos. I fully recommend it. It's one of my most beloved summer garments, and it's knit in Lena, which is a DK weight linen cotton blend. So, anyways, on to socks. The first sock pattern I have for you today is the Lenaria socks by Marie Eve Wedge. This is brand new. I believe I believe it came out this week actually, and I have been eyeing this since she first began showing this on her Instagram. It is absolutely stunning. I've never seen anything like this. It uses a technique called the Estonian inlay floral, which is running down the sides. And I have no idea what that technique looks. My guess is it's some kind of like intarsia colorwork technique that comes from Estonia. I would love to knit these socks just because I'm very intrigued by how they are constructed. If you've been around here, I part of why I love making is I love knowing how things work. And I'm very interested in this technique. I've never heard of it, but I think these are absolutely stunning. They are knit in one of my favorite German hand dyers at Wollentwine out of Hamburg, which is like an hour and a half from me here in Berlin. She only uses natural dyes. As you know, I'm starting my own natural dye garden. I love Eula. She's just a stunning artist. You should definitely check out her wool. Uh, I have a poet scarf in her linen DK, and I would love to knit these socks using her Ovis sock yarn. It sounds beautiful. Anyways, I digress. The Lenaria socks, absolutely stunning floral pattern. The next socks I have for you are actually another new pattern as of end of February, I believe, and I actually test knit these. These are the socks Vesna by Ola Kilik. Um, Vesna means spring. I believe in Ukrainian. I know Ola speaks like 7 languages, but one of the languages she speaks is spring, and I want to say it's Ukrainian. But these are an absolutely stunning lace pattern. It wasn't hard at all. These socks come in multiple sizes, and what I really loved, so I've worn these socks a lot because love them. They are perfect for spring. She uses a really interesting heel technique. It's like a mix between a short row and a heel flap and gusset. And it's basically if they had a baby. So I feel like my sock wool is melting a little bit. Uh, but it kind of is, you do most of a heel flap and then you start a short row. And so I think that I was really interested in these not only for the stunning lace pattern, but because once again, the heel is just so interesting. I think this would be a great heel for color work. I really love this pattern. It is knit on 2.25 millimeter needles. Ola has some lovely other lace patterns also inspired by spring. So definitely go and check these out. I think these kind of look like little tulips springing up from a garden and I just love them. So that is the sock Vesna by Ola. Real quick, before I go on with my third pattern, I did want to mention that I'm kind of going, I wanted to go, I know some people love color work, some people love lace. And so I wanted to pendle back and forth between the two, do one color work sock and one lace sock. So that's kind of where I'm going. Um, so my third sock is the Wild Angelica sock by Running Yarn Marianne. This is just stunning. It is an all over colorwork sock knit on 2.25 millimeter needles. But I think this colorwork motif is just absolutely stunning. It comes with these like very reminiscent of Scandinavian like flower designs that I just am really drawn to at the moment. But also, what I love about these, because I do have a thing with all over colorwork socks, it has to be either a beautiful design that I can't stop thinking about because I hate a short row heel, or like this sock has, it has a heel flap and gusset put into it. And then the color work kind of like at the bottom of the heel forms a triangle. And so it creates this really interesting color work detail that but also allows you to have a heel flap and gusset for more comfort. So I'm very interested in this as well because I've never knit a full over color work sock with that heel detail. And I think it's just lovely and stunning, even though you're never going to see it. Like no one besides you is going to appreciate it, but then sometimes those are the details that I most love when like it's like a little secret, something you just do for yourself. But I think these are absolutely stunning. I think the colors she chose are also really lovely, like based on what color she chose. Like if you did a blue, like this navy and light blue is a very wintry floral sock. Like I think that would make a gorgeous Christmas sock actually. Or if you do like a rosy pink and white, it's so spring. I could also see these in like a blue or a yellow, and they'd be great for summer. So I think just depending on what color you choose as well, this could be an all around sock. It's absolutely stunning. I would these are definitely going to my to knit list. I feel like these are going to live rent free in my head for many years to come. So absolutely stunning. My next sock pattern is by This Handmade Life, who I think I mention her every time. She must have like 100 sock patterns, and they're all stunning. Definitely go and check her out if you love knitting socks as much as I do. But it is the Summer Flower sock, which is a cute little shorty sock. I don't have any like shorty socks like this in my wardrobe, but I think this summer I want to add at least one or two. I think they're just so cute with sneakers or even Birkenstocks. And this is just the sweetest little, once again, it's very reminiscent of the sock Vesna by Ola. Just like little sweet little tulip patterns. I think this would be a very beginner friendly sock pattern. If you've knit like a vanilla sock before, I think this would be an excellent intro into lace just because it's only the top flap. You just do the cuff, you go straight into the heel and the lace, and it's I think this would be a great like if you're ready for like level 2 of sock knitting, I think this would be a great sock for you. It is absolutely stunning. This is definitely a sock pattern worth checking out and a designer worth checking out at that. My fourth sock is by Teddy Lutzak, who, if you've watched this before, is kind of my new designer obsession. Uh, and this one specifically, the Pictus sock, I had to put in here because I just finished the bifurca vest, which has the same floral design. It's actually on my blocking mat, so I'll post a picture here because it is soaking wet. I finished it this morning. I couldn't sleep, and so I woke up and like finished binding off 300 or something stitches. It was took forever. But I really did fall in love with this floral motif. I think, once again, it's just stunning. I love Teti. She's got the most unique designs. I could have picked 3 or 4 sock patterns by her that are all so unique. There's just nothing like her designs. And but I do love these little like winter berry. I don't know. It feels very springy. Like the first signs of spring, and like the little my trees in my backyard are kind of jutting out like this, like the little buds on the trees. And I just love these socks. But there is a short row heel, which I know for certain I would modify these to uh, either the like short row heel baby, like I mentioned, an Ola sock. I forget what that's called. Um, or I would do something fun with the color work, so I could do a heel flap and gusset. But I think that would be an easy modification to make. You could even just omit the color work at the bottom and just do like the design at the top. I think that would be an easy hack. But I think this motif is just so stunning, and I love every design that Teddy makes. Uh, Number 6. This is actually another one by this Handmade Life, the Fairy Maiden. But I wanted to include, even I typically don't like to include 2 socks by the same designer, but I love the shorty from the last one, and this one is actually free. It's called the Fairy Maiden. It is knit on 2.5 millimeter needles, and it's just a lovely little cable stitch. But I mean, the name, but it also just makes me feel like I'm spending all day in the garden. I just feel like it's such a sweet little sock. Once again, another great sock for beginners. I can definitely say that this Handmade Life has an array of levels, but I think a lot of her socks are easy to understand. They're lovely and they're beginner friendly. So definitely check that out if you're ready for a chocolate chip sock, as I say. So like a step above vanilla. All right, my next pair of socks is another obsession of mine. I think I've had these saved on Ravelry for over 2 years, and I just need to get around to knitting them. It is the Lupiinit socks by Suvi from Suvi Knits. She is a Finnish designer, and once again, this is kind of that Scandinavian vibe that I'm just really into right now. It also kind of reminds me of the Field Sweater by Camilla Vach. This is that same little stitch pattern, but I love what she did with the color work here. Of instead of keeping the little buds the same color, she added in color work, and even though it's the same stitch, by changing the stem and the leaves and the color and the buds to be different colors, it looks like a little lavender or a little tulip, and I just think it's absolutely stunning. I love these. This is definitely something I'd like to knit. It is actually in DK weight yarn on 3.5 millimeter needles, so this would go a little bit quicker than normal. I have knitted a pair of DK socks recently, and I always think it's going to go twice as fast because it's DK weight yarn, double, but it really is. I feel like it's almost the same amount of time. But these are absolutely stunning. I think this would be a great early spring sock, and kind of keep your toes warm even if you're awaiting spring. Absolutely stunning. And she's a designer that I definitely would love to see and knit more from. Another designer that I'm so interested in the moment, I discovered her a few weeks ago on Instagram, is Fox and Folk. And oh my goodness, I love her designs. Maybe I'll just like post a few here because I love her work. I've never knit anything by her. I don't have any plans to at the moment, but I'm absolutely in love with her work and her style. The drying flowers socks are a showstopper. Like, look at these, they are perfect. And I think the color she uses, I would never put those together, but it is incredible. Like, never, if you had told me a navy, a gray, and a brown sock I would be obsessed with, I would not have believed you. But this sock is just beautiful. I have so much I could learn from her just in the way she just puts color together and design. Absolutely stunning. These are knit on 2.75 millimeter needles, cuff down. I love the small little details in these as well, like the one by one color work on the cuff at the top, but also like the little tiny rib stitches on the foot to just add like an extra little detail. I also just love rib. I love like when you have color work around the cuff and then that tiny little rib detail on the foot. Fantastic. It just makes the sock just a little purl stitch every couple knit stitches just adds such an element, just helps with the fit of a sock so much because it allows the sock to squish in or expand with your foot. And I just, every single remnant sock I have is, I love wearing them. They fit so well. And I love that you can have color work and like a well fitting sock all in one. So I think this just got moved up to my queue in my head actually as I was talking about this. Absolutely stunning. Would love to see more from her and knits one of her designs in the next few seasons. Speaking of Scandinavian inspiration, my next one is the Vasach by Fiber Tales. I believe she is Danish. I think she is like a cute, she lives in like a Danish island on a sheep farm or something. She's absolutely adorable. She's another podcaster and I love watching her videos. She once it has great style. And I love this sock pattern because it's like kind of like a vanilla sock with that lovely detail of like floral embroidery around the cuff. I did try to look into if this is like knit into the sock or if you knit the sock first and then go back and add embroidery. Based off looking at it, I want to say you knit the vanilla sock and then go back and add the embroidery. Okay, I did just go do a deep dive on the projects on Ravelry, and it is indeed embroidery. So I think this would actually be a great, if you're familiar with embroidery and are new to sock knitting, I think this would be a great pattern because it's just a simple vanilla sock with embroidery details. And embroidery isn't hard. I love adding embroidery to the clothes, but embroidery on knits is something I want to grow in this year. It's one of my goals for this year. And so these are definitely socks that I could see myself knitting in the fall. Once again, she knit hers with Ovis Sock by Volentwine. Maybe I'll just do a big Volentwine order later in the fall. She's such like when I think of autumn and like sock yarns, I think of Volentwine. She does all of her dyeing on like a light gray sock, which kind of just adds that soft autumn tonal that I really love. Um, as you can see in her in these pictures, and it's just absolutely stunning. I would love to knit these on the same color, or maybe even like a hunter green. Oh, that would be beautiful in the autumn. You might see these. This is the bad thing about these videos. Like they're so good for me and inspiration, but then I talk myself into like knitting every single one of these. And then suddenly my queue is like 45 and I get overwhelmed. Um, but oh, I couldn't let this go by without mentioning the No Mow socks by Greener Makes. Greener Makes is another German designer. I met her online because we test knit for Rest Knitwear together, and I now she's become a designer of her own since we test knit together, and it's been so amazing to watch her kind of grow as a designer. And but I love these No Mow socks. She is basically a sustainability expert. I don't know if she would call herself that. I would call her that. She has really helpful, like tangible tips, and have begun knitting a lot of the yarns that she uses because I'm trying to work with brands that are more sustainable and are more fair trade focused. And so she's definitely someone who I see that I go to. And if she's knitting a yarn, I know that it is has met her standards and it's something I would like to grow in that as well. But she's also an avid gardener and loves sharing tips for how we can take care of the world around us. She inspired these because there is something called the no mow movement where you leave your grass intentionally unmowed throughout the summer so that insects and butterflies and such can have a space to grow and thrive. And so I had no idea. And so this is also she's taught me a lot, but I think the no mow socks are just absolutely stunning. I love that these are just flowers that like when I'm taking my kid to daycare, I've started noticing these that because of these socks I learned about and know what they are now and know why they're important to growth and the environment around me. So I would love to knit a pair of these just to kind of like raise awareness and as a reminder to myself. And also I think it's just really fun to like have socks that are like the flowers that I'm seeing on my daily walk. So yeah, it is No Mo Socks by Greener Makes. My next one is the Poet Sock by Sari Nordlin. Like I mentioned before, I've knit the Poet scarf or like the mini scarf. bandana. And I want to knit everything in the Poet collection. She has a sweater, she has a tee, she has a tank top. I just love this stitch pattern. It looks like a little leaf, and I just think it's absolutely stunning. Sari Nordlund is a very prolific designer. I know I can just trust that every single one of her designs is going to be perfection and come out stunning. So the Poet sock by Sari Nordlund is absolutely stunning, especially if you're more of like the leaf more than the flower kind of person. And then my last three are more well-known sock patterns. As I mean, I guess Sari Nordlund's is also quite a well-known, but I couldn't go through mentioning like floral colorwork without mentioning Stone Knits. I know she's a very well-known. She's the queen of colorwork socks, but I did want to include one that I plan on knitting from her this year. I have the yarn for it. Is the blooming lavender socks. Lavender is one of my favorite flowers. I grow it every year, and it is just, I love like watching the butterflies and the insects and the bees come to it as we're like opening our windows throughout the summer. So I'd love to knit a pair of these. Uh, I love the extra little detail of the colorwork motif around the toes, but then you still don't have to deal with the short row heel. You can do a normal heel flap and gusset or whatever heel suits you. I think so these are just absolutely lovely. I especially love like the white tweed with the purple color work. I think that's just beautiful. And then my next sock is another one that I finished this morning. It is actually from the Sock Project book by Summerly Knits. It is the Camellia sock, inspired by Lord of the Rings. And I did mine. I'll take it off because they're still a little wet, but it has this gorgeous leaf pattern that's inspired by the elves in Lord of the Rings, and I think it's beautiful, stunning on. And then I modified it so that the leaf pattern was also in the back. I'm just really happy with how these came out. Let me see if I can show you that more. World Book Day is actually next week. I believe it's on the Tuesday of next week, or it could be on the Wednesday. I'll let you know. So, but I feel like I had to include these. They're inspired by the elves from Lord of the Rings. And so with World Book Day coming up, I think it's nice to have like a little floral inspired bookish pattern. Um, and then my very last sock that I want to mention, also by Summer Lee, is the Colorwork Cuff Club. So the Colorwork Cuff Project, something I mentioned a lot. I'm sure it's well known at this point, but she has two floral designs at the moment. One is her August motif with this, once again, a Scandinavian inspired pattern. And then another one, I believe, is her March motif, which is like a half daisy pattern. But I wanted to mention this one because I think this is actually going to be my April sock. Even though I've already knit it, I have this yarn from the Mindful Creator. It is the color Wildflower 1.0. She's actually redesigned this, and I actually ordered a sweater quantity of Wildflower 2.0. But and then with the sock set from last year, she had like a bright neon pink, and I think this would look just perfect. I've been planning to make this for forever. So then the flowers are going to be this neon pink, and then I'm going to do the main sock in this, like it's like a floral tweed. It's just gonna be the sweetest wildflower. So I wanted to mention that one. That's gonna be my April sock. That, yes, it is mid-April, and I just finished my March sock this morning, and I'm gonna cast this on today. But I wanted to mention that one because I'm just so excited to finally work with this yarn. I've had it almost a year now. This was my Mother's Day present, my bouquet of wildflowers, if you will, from last year. And yeah, I'm hoping to have it finished by Mother's Day this year. So yeah, those are I believe that was 15. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not going to bother to count. But those are all the socks that I am so excited to knit up, or knit at least a few of them. I think you could not go wrong with any of these designers even. They all have stunning patterns. So definitely have a look at those. All of these I will link below to my Ravelry board with these, as well as a few more. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Like I say often, the gift of your attention means so much to me. So glad that you spent time with me this morning, and yeah, have happy spring, happy Easter, and yeah, have a good day, guys.
I've climbed the mountains in Montana, danced in the lights of New Orleans. Portland ran away with me, and San Francisco stayed with me. Nashville made its way in between. Fell in love in Minnesota, and fell apart south of Salt